Welcome to another episode of Bright Insights, the podcast that leads you to less stress and more success. Here's your host, Paul Bright.
Welcome to another episode of Bright Insights. I'm your host, Paul Bright. Season 2, A to Z Guide for New Leaders. G is for gratitude. The bottom line up front in this episode is no matter what happens to you, there is always something to be grateful for at the end of the day. No matter what happens to you, there's always something to be grateful for at the end of the day. You know the why. Now you're going to find out the what behind all that. Leadership is full of crazy challenges that you can sometimes anticipate and other times not. When you go from being the 9 to 5 guy to the, it's 9 to 5-ish, sometimes 8 to 6, sometimes 7 to 7, because you're in management, that's an automatic change right there. Then, as the new person in charge, you get all the new responsibilities. Lots of metrics, lots of deliverer of bad news, but you get sort of trained up for it. Along with that comes a lot of the crap rolls downhill syndrome, where if something bad happens and it gets to the top, usually all that stuff tumbles downhill and it lands on you as the new manager. You got to embrace that suck sometimes. It's hard. I understand it's hard, but that's part of it. Well, when all that adds up, the longer hours and taking on of more responsibilities that were not anticipated, and your decision making, but not necessarily making all the good decisions, it can pile on. And at the end of the day, you're like, why did I do this? Was it for the 25% pay raise? Was it for the extra vacation days? Was it for the title? Was it for that leadership look? Was this all worth it? I'm going to tell you, yes. The answer is always yes. It may not be worth it in the ways you think it is. There may be some things and a lot of challenges up front. A lot of us have been there. I've been in management positions where at the moment I was like, this ain't worth it. And I quit, or moved on to something else. And then later on in life, I was like, that was a tough period. That was a tough 6 months. But that was 6 months out of 20, 30, 40 years. And I learned more in that 6 months than I did the next 10 years. So in the end, that was worth it. But you don't always see that in the moment. And so ways to learn how to look at it in the moment is by practicing daily gratitude at the end of your day. Not necessarily at the beginning, but at the end. There's a lot of benefits to this. Your stress gets reduced, all right? Because your body, man, even if you have the most positive attitude all day long, your body may not necessarily recognize that, and it gets hard to sleep, and it's harder to focus and make rational decisions. When you have this daily gratitude and you practice these things at the end of the day, it makes it less stressful to communicate with everybody else. We used to have, like in my military days, the ones we called the pingers. The pingers were the ones that if management had one question above them, or asked, where's this at? And they didn't know. Ching, ping, ping. Hey, Bright, you got to go do this. Hey, oh my gosh, we got to handle this problem. And they get all flustered and stressed out. And it's like, dude, it's not really that bad. Well, so-and-so, Sergeant so-and-so wants to know. I was like, well, good. They can wait until the answer's there. But you couldn't really necessarily say it like that because you were lower ranking. And we would just know historically who the pingers were. So you kind of had to anticipate their needs. But I'm telling you, if these pingers took some daily gratitude, they wouldn't feel as pressured to get stuff done, where 2 minutes of communicating clearly to somebody and investing in a positive relationship, that 2 minute quote unquote delay would reap bigger rewards. There's a bigger return of investment in that. And so this daily gratitude helps you learn how to communicate that way, because not everything seems like doom and gloom. I'm telling you, there's always something at the end of your day to be grateful for. Let's go through it right now. Okay, so you're listening to this podcast right now, okay? Maybe you are one of those people that if you're in the military, you're enlisted, you just hit that rank where you started supervising. where more stuff is coming to you as far as management and responsibilities and the day-to-days. And for us in the Air Force, it was E5. You tested for E5, you made it. Great. Now you are eligible to be a supervisor. So you go through all the training, the Airman Leadership School stuff, and they teach you how to go from buddy to boss. So now the people that you work side by side with, well, now you're sort of in charge of them. And that can be stressful. And so you have all these people like, oh, now he's got rank. Now he's throwing away his rank. Now look at him walking around like he's in charge of stuff. Well, guess what? You are. And you have to make decisions. You don't have to be an a-hole about it, but you got to make decisions. But the pressure of making sure they're doing all the right things, and then the people above you are making sure you're doing all the right things, that can be tough, okay? But guess what? You're listening to this podcast episode, which meant you made it to this day, no matter what. And you can be grateful for that. You hear me? You can be grateful for that. You're listening. You're trying to get some knowledge. You're trying to find out, WTF do I do with this now? You've made it this far. That's something to be grateful for. If you are the next man or woman up and you're listening to this podcast, and those folks are the ones that got thrown into the wolves, they felt like they had no choice but to take that managerial position, that next level leader responsibility, and despite the benefits, and maybe you had no desire to be in management, but you didn't also have a plan B to go do something else should that time come, and you're here, you're listening and you're learning. Be grateful for that much. I'm not saying that being grateful for the little things means, well, everything else still, just dismiss everything else. Always brighter on this side. It isn't. The reality is it isn't. The reality is these challenges are challenges. The real is the real. The suck is the suck. What I'm saying is that doesn't have to make and be the end all of who you are at all of that position. Having moments of gratitude helps alleviate that. And then you start seeing ways to make it suck less. If you are an entrepreneur and you just started hiring people and you're leading them and you're getting all this stuff, like why did I expand? Why did I hire these folks? It's not worth the pain. It may feel like that, but again, you're here to talk about it, which means you have a moment to sort it out. And you can start by learning how to be grateful for the things that did work. And I'm going to lead you through an exercise, and it's an acronym-based exercise. No, I didn't make this one up. But you need to hear about it, and it is the GLAD exercise. And this is how it goes. GLAD. Get yourself like a notebook of some sort, a journal. Keep it in your car, keep it in your office. And before you make that transition from work to home, whether you do it in the car or in the office at the end of the day before you make your drive home, before you listen to the Bright Insights podcast, this is what you do. You take the first letter, G. It stands for one gratitude that you're thankful for today. This could be the smallest thing, like I'm in my car driving, or so-and-so didn't yell at me today. I'm grateful for sunlight, okay? Anything like that. Just the little things actually become big things after a little bit. You ever felt like you were so hungry and none of your food options worked out all day, and then you go by a fast food restaurant that you thought was closed and you drive through and you haven't eaten in 8 or 9 hours, more of a gap of time than normally, and you take that first bite of that burger and your face just melts like you're almost in tears. Like, that may not be the burger you would choose every day, but you got that one little piece of food in your mouth that your body was craving. You're like, oh, thank goodness I got something to eat. And maybe every bite after that sucks, but you got that one little bite. You can be grateful for little stuff like that. So that's G, gratitude. What are you thankful for today? The next letter, L. Something new that you learned today. You learn something new every day. Even if every day looks the same, there is something new you can learn every day. Maybe you turn on the news. Maybe you watched a kid show, a pop quiz show, YouTube. You learn something, something about a coworker, a subordinate, whatever it is. When you have something that you learn, that adds to your knowledge bank, that pool of information you can use to build on later, whatever it is. It means you have to have kind of an open attitude. You got to be able to want to discover something new. But you learned something new today and you were here to talk about it. What's a small accomplishment you did today? What is it? If you had a stack of 100 reports that were due in 30 days and you got 2 done, you accomplished something. You got 2 done. Or if you got 0 done, but you sorted them out, you accomplished something. You sorted them out. What if you were putting yourself on a 2,000 calorie restricted diet and you managed to eat 1,950? You save 50 calories as a small accomplishment. You can build on that. Did you sleep well? That's an accomplishment. A lot of people don't sleep well, especially in leadership. Did you get dressed? I mean, seriously, sometimes not even getting dressed right sucks, but you got that good. Whatever it is, little things like that, those accomplishments, they add up. And D, delight. I'm going to expand on delight later on in this podcast series when I get to the J is for joy episode. But delight, what could you fist pump about? Like, yes, what is something? Was it a joke? Was it again, a snack, a good meal? Did a coworker do something really, really cool? Did a subordinate say something really nice about you? Can you delight in that? Do you have something you can delight in? Just try this, seriously. Glad. G-L-A-D. G is for gratitude. L is one thing you learned. A is an accomplishment. D is something you delighted in. Record those. Do it by voice recorder. Do it in an app in your phone. Do it in a journal. I prefer to handwrite this out. There's just something cathartic and therapeutic about handwriting this glad. I try to go through it all at the end of my day in my mind too. It makes for a much more peaceful sleep. See how many days in a row you can do that and just watch your stress level go down a little bit here and there by being grateful, having gratitude. Now, like I said, it doesn't negate the tough moments. It doesn't negate the tough things that happen. It's not like, oh, pshaw, that's nothing. We're not even saying that. Again, you're listening to a guy who spent 10 years in the military, and a good chunk of them were on a flight line fixing cargo planes. A lot of stuff did not go right on the daily. But man, when that plane took off and it didn't come back with the same problems, that was our fist pump. That was our grateful moment. That was our high five. It's like, yep, check good. It's like, yes, we worked 14 hours. We didn't have lunch. We were stressing. It was rain. We were getting slight electrical shocks discharge because of the humidity. But man, that plane took off and it didn't come back with the same problems. It adds up, trust me, when you can have those grateful moments like that. And as a new leader, as an entrepreneur, when you start this early, you start building a great habit. And great habits like this, where it can keep your mind focused on what needs to be done and to rest and recharge, you end up having a lot less stress and more success. And you deserve it all. You're taking the time to listen to people like me and reading books and others out there who have been there, done that in some way, shape, or form to build yourself up. You deserve gratitude. You deserve some type of success. And I wish you all the best. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Bright Insights. For more information on how to have less stress and more success, visit brightinsightsmedia.com.
If you enjoyed this episode in particular, or the Bright Insights podcast overall, subscribe and share with your friends. That gives us a little more visibility. And with that, we can all have less stress and more success.